This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jumbo, Jumbo, and a very good morning to everyone and everybody. Welcome to a sunrise drive from the Mara Triangle in Kenya. And you can tell that's our eastern horizon. A bit cloudy this morning. This is not the normal sunrise we get here, but this is because about half an hour ago it was spitting. This is very clear indication that we'll be having some rains. A bit chilly, 18 degrees Celsius, 54 degrees Fahrenheit this morning. But we hopefully it's going to warm up and the temperatures will rise later in the day. And what a lovely sky we got there as the sun is trying to push up. Very good. My name is David as usual, and with me on camera is Bungay. Bungay, bonjour. Ça va, monsieur? Bungay has spoken all his French and he says he is ready to show you lots of cards today. So Bungay, don't let me down. Remember, this is a very interactive safari we do, and should you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. Should you have any comments, hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Alrighty, so you're going to be moving down. We are at one of the highest points in the Mara. The Mara's elevation is about what? 2,000 meters above sea level, sometimes 4,800 feet above sea level. Giraffe Girl, I agree with you. The sunrises in the Mara, to me, they're a little bit better than in Juma. I hope Giraffe Girl, I mean my friends in Juma don't get jealous, but we have wonderful sunrises here. Giraffe Girl, don't go away, don't stay very far, because hopefully I might get a giraffe for you. Maybe one, maybe two. And every time I hear your name, I get very excited. So we'll be going downhill because where our camp is, we're at the very edge of the park, and I can show what Bungay is showing you there. Just look at that beauty there. Thank you, Bungay. So to the right of that hill you see there, that's where we stay. That's exactly where we live, right on top of that hill. And I'll start now climbing down, and as I do that, there's a gentleman who gives wonderful smiles in South Africa, and he would wish to say hello to all of you.
I think our sunrise here in South Africa is much more beautiful than the Mara. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the beginning of the morning safari. I am Sydney Fumulani Mikosi, and I'm traveling with Craig here, who is my camera operator. We are going to try and look for Hosanna. We have left him here yesterday in the area. He got killed somewhere, hanged up in one of the trees. For in case if you need our attention, you can follow us on Twitter, hashtag SafariLive. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. Quite a lot of hyena tracks here going up and down. I'm sure hyenas tried their luck by Hosanna, but that kill was very much high yesterday when I left it, and the intestines were really taken out, and I could see here some drag marks. So it means it's the time he was dragging the kill. I will just show you these drag marks here. Can you see that? There's some drag marks there. So this is the drag marks on the road here when Hosanna was moving the kill. You can see there, it's like a very big snake, or two snakes crossed here. You can see how that drawing is like. So here it is where Hosanna dragged his carcass when moving it to the next tree. So it means now we might find that this carcass is not at the tree we left yesterday. So now let's quickly go to James. James is now busy chasing the sunrise.
I am looking at the sunrise. I am standing upon a termite mound, surveying what I'd like to call my domain, but of course is the domain of who knows, actually. I suppose the universe, when it comes down to it. My name is James Henry. Good morning to you all. Welcome to the walk part of the Sunrise Safari. On camera today, Senzo Mkize. He's dressed, well, not particularly flamboyantly this morning. Normally it's a bit more flamboyant, but he does have a pair of impressive long socks on, which is quite nice. We are looking at the sunrise. I have to agree with David that, of course, they do regularly get very spectacular sunrises in the Masai Mara, but I think today, perhaps, ours has topped that. Please talk to us, of course, using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or the chat stream on YouTube. Our plan today is going to be to go towards Beefles Hook Waterhole, which is on the northeast corner of Djuma, and see if we can't find something that was thirsty during the night. It was the last place we saw Tingana. It was the last place we saw Tundi. And so maybe we'll pick up one of those two. Maybe we'll pick up some lions, elephants, buffalo, grasshoppers on the way. That is the general plan. Does that satisfy you, Senzo? He says yes, that'll be fine. You all like that plan, apparently, then that's very good. Good. We've got Holly and Pat with us on walk today, and if we find something that they know about, they may take over for a brief segment or two. If we don't find anything that they know about, well, then it'll just be me doing this into the camera for 3 hours. Sydney has had some success already.
So you can see now that the little chief is still in the area, right on top of the very same termite mound we left him yesterday sleeping. So, but he was displaying some activities here when we got here. He was playing, jumping, and now there he's resting again. Yes, the carcass, as I indicated, there's still much left hanging up by the same tree. So he might go back there for feeding, or maybe he has just been there now. So we will see how he's behaving. His behavior is going to tell us as to whether he has been there or he wants to eat now. Look at that tail. It's quite a beautiful tail. Nice and long. It can grow up to, he's just now playing that tail. So it can grow up to more than 100 centimeters. That is too long. Navi, that is true. This is quite a nice spot to sleep. So the interesting part of this spot is that it's high elevation. When he's high up there, he can also see other prey who are coming. He's not very far away from the Galago pen. Here where he is, he's high up in such a way that he can be able to see the animals going to drink by the pen. He's got something already up hanging in the tree. It doesn't mean he cannot hunt anything now. If he sees something or hears something, he's still going to go for it. So the competition is very much low these days because Tingana, I have not seen him for quite a while. So now let me quickly cross over to David, who's got one of those bears giving the animal calls when it comes to these kind of predators.
Well done, Sydney, for having spotted Hosanna. Hosanna was my very first leopard that I saw when I was in South Africa, and he's coming up as a quite future boy of that area. Now, our sunrise haven't really popped up on the eastern horizon, but instead we have found a secretary bird, and she's just preening herself on top of that torchwood tree and giving us a wonderful background of sunrise. Now look on her feathers on top of her head, and you've got a very nice silhouette of this beautiful bird. In general, going in twos a male and a female, and they like nesting on very high trees, where hopefully they'll keep the rodents away, or some reptiles like snakes, which will not be able to reach their chicks or their eggs. You may not see very well, but if you look at them, the secretary birds got very long tails. One of the feathers pretty long. Stella, hello, and your favorite bird. And I'll tell you, this is one bird that is very unique. And for me, apart from the other one that I call the lilac-breasted roller, that is birds in that size, for the big birds, Marshall Eagle comes number 2, and Stella, I tell you, I also love the secretary bird. Look at its beak, hooked, very characteristic of most eagles. And Stella, I'm sure you know the secretary bird has its own genus. It doesn't share its genus with any other bird. And look at the beautiful feathers they got. MDR secretary birds will always nest on top of trees. They know the challenges of nesting on the ground. And I'll tell you what, MDR, secretary birds apparently are eagles. Many people have mistaken them to be something different, but secretary birds are eagles, and more often than not, you'll get them spending their, their time on the ground, because that's where they feed from. When the other eagles, like the Marshall eagles or crowned eagles, are hunting or preying on the small birds on top of trees or in flight, secretary birds tend to eat rodents, snakes, locusts, and I would say they spend 3/4 of their time just browsing on the ground. And for that reason, I call them the ground eagles. Very unique when you see them walking on the ground and how they kill snakes. They stamp on them using their feet because they got very powerful legs, which they need just to subdue their prey. And very difficult to tell a male from a female of a secretary bird, unless, I guess, when you'd see them mating, if you're lucky. We got birds whose sexual dimorphism is a bit tricky. This one here, the lilac-breasted roller, my other favorite bird. But certain birds like the ostriches are straight black and white, you can tell. Ground hornbills, or most of the hornbills, you can tell males from females. But this one's a bit tricky. Very interesting how they got the name secretary bird. If you see them in better daylight, or when you see them moving on the ground, we make jokes that they walk like girls, in high-heeled shoes. And they got feathers that come right below, not shortly before they get to the knee. Black feathers, and then we make a joke, they wear black miniskirts. And then the feathers you see sticking out of their head are like pens or barrel pens, where secretary jobs, when they used to be very fancy, the secretaries used to poke or put pens, on their hair or in their hair. And when they stamp or kill snakes or rodents on the ground, they tend to stamp both of them using their feet. And that would take us back to typists on the old days of keyboards. And all those theories combined gave them the name secretary birds. Remember, we're always very interactive. Should you have any comments, questions, send them through on Twitter using #SafariLive. Are you wanting ready to fly? And as soon as it warms up and they have got better daylight, that's when maybe she may come down, because at the moment it's rather too dark, and I doubt she'll be able to see or spot some game on the ground. When we got here initially, there were two. Look at the long tail, that feather tail there. When you see them take off a land, they're like small planes, and I think that tail always aids them, like how cheetahs maybe will use their tails to rudder themselves when they take off going for prey. I would get to think this one particular feather might do the same for the secretary bird. And I'm sure it won't be long before she comes down. Alright, secretary bird, we'll wait for you to come down as we move on. My plans today is to look for some cats, some lions, and I'm thinking of looking for the Olololo pride of lions. I have seen the sausages. Sausages, for those who have never joined us before, is a pride of lions. And today I'm thinking to look for different lions. And hopefully I will be lucky. The Olololos are some of the largest pride of lions we got around this area. All right, let's go across to South Africa, and I think Henry got a similar friend like what I have here.
Well, it's not actually very similar in that it is, of course, a cuckoo, and so it never builds a nest at all. And that is the Le Vaillant's cuckoo. Used to be known as the striped cuckoo. Of course, it used to be known as the striped cuckoo because it has a striped front to it, but the ornithologists, as is their wont, decided that calling a bird by its obvious characteristics was much too simple, and so they'd call it after an obscure naturalist. He's probably not that obscure, but certainly obscure to anybody who's just started birding. So that is a Le Vaillant's cuckoo. And of course it does not ever build a nest, nor does it ever play any role in raising its chicks. It will lay its eggs probably in the nest of a starling or a babbler. And that poor babbler will then raise the Le Vaillant's cuckoo as its own. Yes, Tim, of course they do sometimes make their homes in clocks. That is absolutely correct. Now, what's interesting about this chap who looks almost identical to the Jacobin cuckoo unless he turns round is that he very seldom ever turns round. He's superbly aware of anything that's observing him, and you very seldom get a straight front-on view of them. Always the back end, because of course that's the most difficult end to see. And often, like this, kind of silhouetted against a tree, so unless you're looking quite carefully, you don't see them. Dastardly creatures. There he goes. Haven't started calling yet. Well, Carol, the reason the cuckoo doesn't raise its own young is that's just how it's evolved to survive. It's a highly effective, energy-efficient survival strategy. And so what it does is it lays its eggs in the nest of another bird and has nothing further to do with raising the chicks, which means that it's got somebody else to do the parenting work, which means that it can carry on and lay further eggs in other birds' nests. And so it's just their survival strategy that is extremely successful and highly energy efficient. And while it may seem a little bit nasty, of course the cuckoo doesn't realize it's being nasty. It's just what it does. Christy, well, you can wait for its call, otherwise I could just play it for you. Let's do that rather. I think it'll probably be a bit easier. Let me retrieve my bird app. Did you see that, Senzo? That was called a flourish. It's quite an aggressive call. It's not very nice. It's not exactly what you would describe as a pleasant, melodious song, like Senzo sings in the shower, for example. All right, let's head along, see what else we can find. David, I believe, has another bird all the way in the Masimara.
Well, from one cookout to another different bird here. We were watching earlier the secretary bird, which I said it is a kind of an eagle, but now we have a proper eagle, And this is black-chested snake eagle. Most snake eagles have that one characteristic yellow eye. You can see that yellow eye there, which is very common with most eagles. And snake eagles also tend to have rounded heads, most of this particular one, and the brown snake eagles. Look at that head there. Still, I would say a young one. It's a bit of a juvenile to me. And snake eagles have two characteristics that are different from the other eagles. When they stand or when they perch, they're always like 90 degrees from their perching point, while the other eagles could be about 45 degrees when they perch. But also the snake eagle, they do not have the bolted tarsi. Most eagles got feathers on their feet. Surely you love these eyes, and I'll tell you, most of the snake eagles, very good. Bungay, thank you for going back to the eyes. Most of the snake eagles have very wonderful eyes because they need to be strong eyes to spot snakes. You'd imagine she is giving it about 10 meters on that tree, 10 meters high, and she may need to see a snake that could be maybe a kilometer or over half mile away and on the ground or in the ground and in the grass. You'd imagine. So those eyes are huge and very strong. So what basically she is doing there, she's just looking and spotting in the grass as it is lighting up. And I have seen a snake eagle, in fact a black-chested snake eagle by coincidence, that I stayed with it for 5-10 minutes, and she flew away, and I followed her very slowly, and she flew for 2 miles, almost 3 kilometers. And where she landed, she picked up a black mamba. I mean, that was pretty special. She picked up a black mamba on landing, and I couldn't believe it. So I think they pick any slight movement of a snake. And look at the concentration that she has now. Yeah, and M in the final control says that's pretty awesome. And all eagles will have very hooked beaks because they need to rip their flesh depending on what they prey on. Snakes, and not only snakes, they'll also get small little babies like fawns or lambs or antelopes, rodents, be they mice or rats. Look at that beak. Turn it around again and it's so pointed, and also their beaks are also very strong. So once they dig into the flesh, they just slide through like a dagger to open it up. Very strong legs, and the talons are equally strong because sometimes they've been known. Sweet history, what a beauty, and it is so nice. And we've got a lilac-breasted right below that just landed there. Very good. Maybe go down again. Thank you very much. I was talking earlier of my favorite bird, and she just, oops. So the black-chested eagle goes away, and both of them are flying away now. Good job, Bungay. And she is going to land on another tree. I'm so surprised she has been, I'm not sure she's been intimidated by the lilac-breasted roller. But I was talking earlier of my favorite bird in Kenya, and I said the lilac-breasted roller. Well, she has decided to go. Do you see it again, Bungay, the roller? It's right below there, I think. It's right below that tree. And I'm sure we're going to be catching another one at one point. Excellent. We'll move on now, and we'll take you back to Sydney and his cat.
You can see that the little chief is still now in the middle of the sleep. the tail is just moving. Maybe he's dreaming at the moment, as he has been like this since our arrival. So, and I'm thinking about to go and see if we can find the hyenas. Maybe now when it's still nice and cool, we might see their activities there, the babies. We're not too sure if they're still by the den that we used to see them or moved on to the next den. We haven't seen them yesterday and the day before. I'm going to have to investigate which den are they using now, as there's quite a few of old dens and they are being nomadic amongst these old dens. Yeah, you must be dreaming at the moment here. So if I leave here to the hyena den, coming back, I'm still going to find him sleeping. So I am trying to avoid that. We had just to see him sleeping all this morning. So I'm going to go there and come back and see what he's thinking about to do. Look at that beautiful track. So you can see there that he's got the dew cloud somewhere there and the carpazal. Nice and clear. This helps them when they're jumping in order to hold the ground. So this has around this hairs you're seeing around the toes and the pads is the one that helps to silence these animals when they're stalking their prey. You can see the hairs are in between the toes. So now let's quickly cross over to James and see how the bushwalk is doing.
I don't think Hasana's feet are very little at all. I think they're quite large. What I wanted to talk about in this particular area is the seed bank. And if you look carefully on the ground, it looks like there's really not very much growing. And you think to yourself, well, even if water was to fall on this area, surely there would be no grass. But that is not in fact the case. First of all, we have the grass over here, and you can see that it is slowly starting to flush green. See? New green growth on top of the old stuff. And often when we talk about moribund, dry, sort of above ground, old season stuff, that would be cleaned off in a fire. But we haven't had a fire through here, and obviously there'd be no buffalo through here, so this will not be cleaned off, but it will slowly kind of fall off as the new grass comes. And the idea of getting rid of it is that you actually open up space for the green grass. But now all around us, on the ground here, there is a seed bank, and on every bit of kind of bare ground that we walk across, there's an enormous seed bank of grass seeds, and the grass seeds can last for many seasons without germinating. And if you go to a place like the clearings just outside camp, of course, which at the moment look like a dust bowl, as soon as there is any decent rain, it is amazing to watch these seeds germinate. And so there's an enormous seed bank that helps land to recover as soon as there's some water. But of course, in the absence of water, grass seeds will simply not manage to germinate, and that is because they live in the surface of the soil. They have no chance to get to moisture down below the surface of the soil, and so they must have rain on them. That is my story of the seed bank. Good. We're moving along the central parts of Djuma on our way towards the dam, and we haven't as yet found any tracks or anything particularly fascinating. Sharon, we don't have plants like poison ivy here, no. I mean, we get nettles that give you a little bit of a sting, but we don't have plants that cause the effects of poison ivy. It's funny, a lot of people think that, you know, coming to Africa is very dangerous and there must be lots of spiders and snakes and plants that will cause you great amounts of harm. But in actual fact, in many parts of the New World, there are some more deadly things than you'll find in a place like this. We don't have any poison ivy. Very few of the snakes here will try and kill you, although there are some very venomous snakes here, of course. But no plants like poison ivy and those nasty things. Lisa, yes, insects would certainly get charred in a fire. It depends on the fire. So, last year we had a relatively good rainy season, and there's a pretty good grass cover. It's not fantastic, but it's not bad. If a fire had come through here, it's too late now. It's already going green, and so it's unlikely that a fire would make it through here or take hold. If a fire was to come through here, it wouldn't have been a particularly big fire, but it would have been pretty hot. The year before that, you would have struggled to get a fire through here at all. So many things would absolutely just have recovered if there had been a fire or just got out of the way. But after a very big rain year, when the grass sward becomes very large, well, then you can have a severe fire, and that will kill tortoises and insects and all sorts of things. Righty, let's continue. Try and find other signs of the summer. Interesting creatures. Budding trees. Let me walk up in here. Sinzo can stay on the beaten track. Cheeky mongoose, no cycads here. There's not nearly enough rain, but there are plenty of cycads up in the mountains not too far from here, up near Zanin, into Machuba's Kloof. And in fact, the Rain Queen, if I'm not mistaken, the Rain Queen Mojaji, she is the sort of traditional figurehead of the Pedi people. They're a group of people who live up in the mountains of Mojaji's Kloof. Apparently is it her royal homestead? I think it is. Her royal homestead has the biggest cycad collection in the world, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the biggest private cycad collection in the world, or something like that. So there are lots of cycads in South Africa, just none here. There simply isn't enough rain. Here we have the coming of the leaves on the combretum trees. Aiden, we do have a national bird. The national bird is the blue crane, which we don't get here either because it's not wet enough. But the national bird is the blue crane. This is a combretum apiculatum, or red bush willow tree, and you can see it is starting to turn green. And if sends or pans quietly to the right, that's the left, other right, what you'll see is that the bush looks pretty clear, pretty easy to see through. But in about 3 weeks' time, all of the combretum trees, and they're the most common tree in this area, are going to be thick with leaves. And our ability to see into the bush is going to be severely compromised, and so we're going to have to walk a lot more carefully as we go, because we will not be able to see what is going on otherwise. Righty, we're going to continue along here, looking at bushes, hoping to find something large. David has already found something quite large.
Yeah. Very good. Well done, James. And I was looking for lions earlier, and specifically the Olorolo Pride, and I have gotten them, which makes me feel excited. This is the Olorolo Pride of lions, and it's one of the largest prides that we got in the Mara Triangle, and we have a whole lot of them here. I was trying to count them a few seconds ago. We got 2 of them there, and let's find out what Bungay will keep doing, either to confirm my number. Right there, look at that tree and see who is in the tree. We got 3 small little cubs there. You can see that one like trying to pose like a model, but you can tell she's not very comfortable, because lions have not been designed to climb trees, but once in a while they will do that. And because it's cool now, it's basically, I would say, playtime, time to flex, or time to train themselves for future. But ideally they're also cracking and trying to chew some sticks in that tree. Very good that all of you are agreeing with me. They're like behaving like models on that particular tree. She's not even moving, but I think because she cannot stand there for so long, unlike the leopards. And something might have happened in the water. They just had a splash. There's a small little pool of water in there, and I don't know whether one of them fell in the water or something. and I'm sure something could be happening in that water. What I want to try and do is maybe move forward a little bit. Let me just move forward a little bit and see what splashed water. There's a huge splash of water there. Bungay, if you allow me, we're going to move forward a little bit and maybe go around those cars. Oh, there's a hippo there. Oops. To the left, Bungay, there's a hippo that came out. Look at that. Look at that. That's what splashed the water there. And lions once in a while have been known to go for hippos, but I don't think Olololo are ready. There's one cab following it. Look at that cab. They're so close. Definitely she doesn't stand a chance. But all of them now are going out. And this is quite crazy. Not sure how many people we can get some big number of audience on this particular moment. This is quite exciting, eh? Hello everyone and welcome to our morning safari in the morning from the Mara Triangle in Kenya. Let me just turn around the vehicle because there's something interesting going on here. And if you go to that tip there, Bungay, there's a hippo running to my right. If you look about 1 o'clock from where I am, and it got some pride of lions right behind that hippo. Not sure they want to bring it down or not. And a very welcome. We are doing a live safari in the Mara Triangle in Kenya, and there are about 10 lions that got this hippo out of the water, and I do not know what they want to do. So let me just turn around and give you a better angle. We're in the Mara Triangle in Kenya. And we might be seeing a drama here. For those who have never joined us before, we've got a pride of lions that we call the Olololos. And let me just first turn around and see where they are exactly going. I'll give you a different angle. How is that, Bungay? Good? Okay. Now, this pride of lions here is called Olololo, and Olololo has about 14, 16 members when they're all together, and they just got a hippo out of the water. So we got about 10 of them at the moment, and we saw the young cubs trying to chase the hippo, and the hippo just took off. And how exciting was that? Remember, this is a very interactive safari we're doing. Should you have any questions or any nice comments you'd want to send through, you're welcome to do that using hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. MDR, very good to hear your name again. It is not normal for lions to hunt hippos, but once in a while they have been known to do it. In the Mara, we have been having the migration of thousands and thousands of wildebeest and zebras, and that's what all the prides of lions in this area have been feeding on. But slowly and surely now, they are all heading due south to Serengeti National Park in Tanzania. And when that happens, the prides of lions do not move with the migration or with the wildebeest and the zebras. They remain in their territories. And that's the time we call the green season, and they will start hunting bigger game. And hippos are part of the bigger game that they hunt. That also includes giraffes and buffaloes. So you can see that particular one is still looking at the hippo, which has walked away. Cool breeze, I would say the Olololus, from the way they look, they are not hungry, but lions have been known to be opportunists. If an opportunity comes, they'll always very quickly take it. But the Olololus at the moment are not hungry. They have been together as a unit, all of them, And as soon as I'm sure the migration disappears completely from this area, they might disperse and break maybe into 2 groups or 3 groups to increase the chances of being able to prey or hunt. Alex, you say, wow, so beautiful, and I'm sure those 2 might have heard you and they gave you a bit of a play. And that's a female there. See how playful they are? And because it's still very cool now, and lions or most cats are known to be active in the mornings and late in the evening, they become very playful, especially the youngsters. I haven't seen the adults very close. I have about 6, 7 small ones. MDN, what happened, I first heard a splash in the water, and I was like, what could that be? And initially I thought one of the lions had fallen in pool of water, but it was the hippo that was getting very uncomfortable because the lions were surrounding it, and it came out, and I would say it has survived. I've seen many times, you know, lions going for hippos in the water and pushing them out, especially if the water is not very deep. And they easily bring them down because hippos are not very good in the water. They will not be able to swim. Not that the lions are any better. Caro, very good question. In general, it depends on the size of the group, but a fully grown lion would eat about 20% of its body weight. So you see a lion that could be about 200 kilograms. It could comfortably eat anything 15 to 20 kilos in one sitting. Males tend to eat a bit more, Caro, and you might see a fully grown male eating about 25 kilos. You're talking about 55, 60 pounds of meat or flesh in one sitting. In this area we are of the Mara Triangle, we got some lions that we call the Triangle Boys, and they're fully grown males, massive, huge. And there's one time I estimated one eating almost 60 pounds of meat, and by the time he woke up, he couldn't even move. Well, how exciting was that? And thank you very much for having joined us. My name is David, and with me on camera was Bungei. And please stay alert. We might be sending you more notifications later for other exciting sightings. Thank you, and goodbye for now. Well, we'll keep watching. Very good. Welcome everybody else, and thank you for that exciting moment, and we'll continue following these lions and find out where they could be going or what they're doing. The hippo is gone, and I think they have survived for the day, and let's follow the Olololos. As I said earlier, for those who have never joined us before, the Olololos are a parade of lions here in the Mara Triangle. It's the largest spread of lions that we got here. I'm not sure where they have gone. I want to go back in the other direction and see. Got some cars just racing behind me. So let me just slowly back up and follow them. And I think they're still in that pool of water. Just 2 minutes. We got guys passing behind me. And once they pass, I'll be able to reverse. Game rangers just doing the normal patrol. Pembe? Pembe? Alright, as I back up to reposition myself and hopefully get the Olololos back, let me take you back to Sydney, maybe the different spotted cat, or rather spotted predator.
I have just been to the old den at the moment, and I saw that these hyenas, indeed, they have moved to another den. I wanted to confirm that, but here on the road, I can see some tracks for the small hyenas and the adults heading much more towards the western side of the game reserve. So I'm going to investigate much more towards the western side and see if we can visit all the other old dens. We might find them this side. So it means that side, they've done their own assessment and they saw that the safety of their little ones is not there anymore. Hyenas and any other kind of an animal such as cats who are hiding the babies by the den, they do check a lot if there are chances of the predators coming to their babies, and also if there's too much parasites and if there's a development of a smell. Once they pick up that smell, they must have to move them away. Some of these animals, they even eat droppings of their little ones when they're still new in order to hide to the predators that they've got little ones in these dens. To avoid competition, the different predators, they kill each other's babies. So the predators such as the wild dogs, they can be very problematic. And I saw that by the dam camp, wild dogs has been spotted at around past 2. I'm not saying the wild dogs were here for the hyena cubs. They've just been spotted in the area last night. Giraffe girl, thank you very much for all your support. I might find these hyenas by the new den. I haven't seen them for quite a long time now. Last sighting, I think it was Wednesday, Thursday last week. It has been a long time. So the den we have just been now might also be taken over by another species. These animals don't mind to share these dens. I didn't copy that question, Emma, if you can repeat it again. They normally move their dens at night time because we just get surprised in the morning. The little ones are not there anymore, and the adults are also not there anymore. So normally they move their little ones at night. Maybe they are doing that for safety reasons. Every time we get surprised. And they can move these little ones for long distances, because the distance between this den and the den where they've moved before is quite a long distance. So they can be able to hold their little ones here at the back and move with them for quite a long distance. So cats and dogs, they catch their little ones from the back here. That is why if you look at the cats when they're mating, such as the leopards, the males, they catch the female here. The reason for that is that when the female is caught here, everything comes back very quickly. The behavior, how they've been treated when they're still very young. Every time they get caught here, they become lame and submissive. Jamie, I am not sure if Koki was spotted drinking there by the dam camp, but remember, when they are staying this side where I'm going to look for now, still they depend on these two dams. They depend on the Galago pen as well as the Viotella pen. So it means if they have been looking for food, foraging purposes, if they went much more towards the Viotella pen, coming back, that is where they're going to drink. But if the treehouse dam as well as the twins dam are having water, they can also drink there and go there for bath as well. So they are not specific. They can just go anywhere and everywhere. So I think they mark their territory in the area where there is quite a lot of water available. Safari lover, mostly the hyenas, when they are moving dens, is when they are having babies. When the babies are there already, they are moving the dens for the sake of the babies, safety of their babies first. Not only who does that. The other big cats such as leopard, as I indicated. So now let's cross over to the Masai Mara and see some lions this morning.
Well, we have been watching the Olololo pride of lions, and now we got a balloon in the air that I think is just flying, and the lions, the Olololos, are on the ground there. You got two females moving, and they forgot three now. They forgot about the hippo. If the males were around when they were trying to get that hippo, and I'm sure they would have gotten it. Sorry, there's a lot of noise coming from a tractor, and those tractors are the ones that carry the baskets of those balloons when they land, and that's why you hear all that noise because of the corrugation on the road. That's the tractor there. Thank you, Bungay. You'd wonder what making all that loud noise. And those balloons that you see there on landing, the baskets will be put on that trailer and back to the camp. So the Olololos are on the move, and I do not know where they would be wanting to go. They don't look hungry to me. I had that question earlier, but as I say, you never know. Should anything come across their way, they'll always bring it down. Lions sometimes do not hunt because they're hungry, but if an opportunity comes, they'll comfortably take it. A squad or a group of 16 lions together is a big pride, and they've been known during the green season or when the small prey, according to them, like the wildebeest and the zebras are gone, they'll bring anybody down. And for them to bring a buffalo down is always very easy. I want to move forward a little bit and see whether they can get a little closer to them. And they're still on the walk. We'll always have the older females moving forward fast because they're much clever. They know exactly what they want to do and where to go and what is safe for them to bring down, because they know big animals like buffaloes can hurt them very much, or even elands. Elands, chances are they will take off if they go hunting them, but buffaloes many times have been known to fight back, and those horns are always very big. Now I have three of the Olololos, three females with me here, and three females or two youngsters. Let me have a look at them. Like, oh, three young males there in front of us on the road, and majestically they want to walk across. The females have lagged behind, but the youngsters and most of the males, sometimes they become ambitious. Yes, and M says that's pretty good. Yes, we have some very good light. And from a distance, long way, there's an elephant in the background there. Definitely they got no business with that elephant. But what I would think behind the elephant I've seen is, oh, there's some elands. Yeah, there's some elands. And they have been known also to bring down elands. And a pride of about 16. An eland should not be a problem for them. And they'll always select the oldest elands, or sometimes the youngest, and they zero in on the young elands, and the rest of the herd will just take off. So this could have been sent to go in the front to scout, and sometimes they go round. Yes, very good, Bungay. Those are the elands I'm talking about. These are our largest antelopes that we got in Africa. Huge. Some of them going to over 1,000 or about, 1,000 kilograms, 2,000 plus pounds in weight. Let me just relocate, Bungay, 1 minute. We don't get a car coming on our way here. Just 1 minute. Scotian people, you're asking what are elands, and very nice to have you on board. Welcome to our safaris. We'll always have two safaris one in the morning and one in the afternoon from the Mara Triangle in Kenya and also from Juma in South Africa. Elands are types of antelopes, and antelopes, I'm sure you know, they are herbivores, and apparently they are the largest antelopes we have in the world. And Bungei going to show you what elands are and where they are. We got about 3 of them there. Look at them. They're huge and in fact bigger than buffaloes and even heavier than buffaloes. They got huge horns, but if you look at them carefully, unlike the horns of buffaloes, their horns tend to grow parallel to each other. And you get elands almost across many countries of Africa and mostly in sub-Saharan Africa. And it could be an exciting day for you when you have joined us to see some lions maybe going hunting, and maybe they might bring an eland down, who knows. Yeah, and thank you for having joined us. Now we'll take you to another friend of mine in South Africa and see what else we do apart from doing safaris on or in a vehicle.
I'm currently not walking at all. What I'm doing is standing in 2 trees at the same time. What a skill that is, to be able to stand in 2 trees at the same time. Now, I've shown you this tree, or these 2 trees on drive before, but I'm not sure I've ever done them on a walk. And so I've had a closer examination of what we have here. And of course it is a leadwood tree that has acted as a base, if you like, for a fig tree, a Ficus stillmanii, or strangler fig. Now, I don't know if the leadwood was alive when the fig eventually took hold on it, but I suspect it probably wasn't. And I think that this relationship between the dead leadwood and the living fig tree has probably been going on for, I don't know, I'm going to guess around about 50 to 100 years. I think it's a long time. This fig tree is mature, and for a long time I thought that the leadwood tree, in fact, wasn't dead. But I think it might... No, it isn't. You know what? Those branches on the far left-hand side, my left-hand side, so Sinzo, you're right, are... they're combretums. Maybe that's 3 trees. Hang on a second. Unless, you know, this isn't a leadwood tree. It's not. Unless it's a giant... It could be a giant... Apparently you've lost my microphone. Hang on. Sinzo, can you come a little closer? Have you got me now? Have you got me now? Still nothing? No? Okay. Still nothing. Oh.
I have just been to the second hyena den where I saw nothing again. So these hyenas might have moved to another den. I'm going to visit the 3rd den now. Maybe that is where our luck is this morning. I heard these hyenas calling earlier. When I was by the Hosanna sighting, heading there, I could hear them making some noise in this area, so they might be having a place somewhere here. Patrick, the artifacts is the ones who are digging the high percentage of these hyena dens. The artifacts can be able to dig something very big. They can dig 6 meters hole down in less than 15 minutes time. And in there they are looking for the ants and termites. It's when they are looking for a diet. So suddenly hyena goes in there. Sometimes warthogs as well. That is where they're staying. So there's quite a lot of animals who are depending on artifacts. Animals who has to be thankful for the artifacts for staying in these very beautiful holes. So there's quite a lot of termite mounds which has got big holes here. I'm just going to try the last one, and if I don't find them there, it means it's going to be difficult for me to find them this morning. I'll be heading back to the Little Chief after that. So there's quite a lot of areas which are suitable for the hyena dens. So now let's go back to the guided walk.
We're live now, Senzo. Yes. Senzo has unplugged his earphones from his camera, at least from his radio, so that he could listen to the camera to check what was wrong with my sound, and so he didn't know we were live. We are live now. Hello. Sorry about that. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I think we were probably just a little bit far from the microphone. So I said a leadwood tree with a strangler fig in it. But having looked up at the leaves on the top, your right-hand side, I thought maybe those looked a little bit like russet bush willow leaves, but I think they're actually scraggly leadwoods because I've never seen a russet bush willow anything like this size. And so I think the leadwood is in fact still alive. If you can believe it, hanging on, clinging to life, while this fig tree slowly strangles it to death. Yes, Marco, they absolutely do produce a fruit, and the most interesting thing about the fruit is not what it tastes like, because I'm led to believe, in fact, I've never tasted a wild fig out here that tastes any good. I'm led to believe that, in fact, the wild fig trees... well, not led to believe. I know that they don't taste very good, but my favourite part about them is not the fact that they produce fruit. Might fall out of the tree here and die, which would be unpleasant. But the most interesting thing about the figs is that they're all pollinated by wasps, and each different fig tree has a specific species of wasp that pollinates it. And no wasp that, so for example, the wasp that pollinates Ficus stillmanii, which is this one, cannot pollinate any other fig tree. So it can only pollinate this particular species of fig, and that's because the entrance to the fig, it's not quite the fruit, but the, I guess it's the flowering part of the plant, can only be accessed by the specific wasp that has the right shape. So it's a lock and key mechanism. And it's fascinating. And I think how it works is that the male, in fact, never leaves the fig. I may have this the wrong way around, but I think this is how it works. The male never leaves the fig into which he's born. Females are born and they fly out of, in fact, they may be mated. They may well be mated within the fig before they fly out. Then they fly out, and as they fly out, they gather pollen on their backs. They fly to the next fig tree and pollinate that fig, and then they lay their eggs in that fig and then die. I think that's how it happens. And so the males never leave the fig, and the females do the pollinating, and only the specific species of wops is able only that specific wops is able to pollinate the specific fig tree. I'm laughing because apparently somebody's called me the James Nogene. Yes, thank you. I think I probably do look a little bit like a flailing Jim Nogene in this tree as I come down it. Right, that is my story of the fig and the leadwood. I'm now going to climb out of this tree while you go and see if Sydney's managed to have any luck with his hyenas.
I've just got the blue wildebeest here with me at the moment. Hyenas are still nowhere to be found, but here where I am, I have just picked up very fresh tracks for these hyenas. So it means the hyena I heard earlier this morning, it was calling from this side. So this is a lonely wildebeest. I cannot see the rest of the herd here at the moment. It's a male. Males are very much territorial, so they normally go back to the same spot and scratch the ground. Look at what it's doing. So they scratch the ground in order to give out the interdigital gland There is a gland in between the hoofs they are using for demarcation purposes. You can see he's also defecating at the same spot he has been before. So this is a way of marking the territory. You can see the wildebeest has got some stripes on the side. So that's why it's called the brindle gnu. It's because of those brindles, those stripes. It's a striped gnu. So if you look at the horns, the tips of the horns are facing upwards, which is one of the major difference between the blue and the black wildebeest. The black wildebeest, the horns are facing frontwards and upwards. So you can see there is scratching as well. They also got the preorbital gland, which is on the side of their face, where they normally scratch against trees and put it there. This is one of those animals with a very poor eyesight. Blue wildebeest, they normally go together with the zebras because they rely on zebras to detect when predators are coming. Look at how he's grooming himself there. So I'm sure those hoofs can help them because they are splitted. When there's parasites, hoofs can be able to take them out. They can also easily clean themselves. So now let's quickly cross over to David by the Masai Mara, who is having a stalking lion.
Well, Sydney, you're talking of the wildebeest, which we had like thousands and thousands of them here, but now they are all gone. We have been left with some different game, and these are the big antelopes that you call elands, and not very sure the Olololo pride of lions. Olololo is the pride of these lions you are watching here. And they might be planning to bring, you see that eland there? There's one young male. You see the young male in the front of the screen, in the foreground? I think they're trying to lay an ambush on one of these elands. They haven't really committed, but from their body language, I have, of the 16 Olololo lions, I have 10 of them. And if you look carefully, they have been spread out. They have formed like a V. 4 elands, 1 zebra and 1 topi. Forget about the balloon. I'm not sure the guys ballooning there can see what we are watching here. They are quite high and quite far. But now these elands to me have no clue what's behind them or what might happen in the next few minutes. Well, out here, we always need a lot of patience. There's a lot of watching and a lot of waiting. Patricia, that's a very interesting question. Have the lions ever tried to attack a balloon? Not really. What would happen is balloons, that basket is huge, and the balloon also is huge. And for it to remain airborne, the pilots will always keep blowing some hot air for it to stay up there. And when they do that, the banners go like bzzz, and I can tell you, Patricia, that's very irritating to the lions, and they don't want to stay close to that. They just move away. But on landing, if they land and maybe the lions have not picked the ballooners on landing, well, you'd see the lions looking at them like, what do you want here? But I'd say the balloon or the basket is just too big for the lions. Now, we're just going to wait here and see what will happen. They haven't approached a little further from where they were, but you can tell they have laid an ambush. We got 4 in the front, and we got 6 at the back. So if you look carefully, every spot, Bungay is moving his camera. There's a lion, there's a lion, or there's a lioness. But more of them are the youngsters. And you see now this one's here, and we got 3 here. And what I'm thinking is that one of them will go in front and go try and ring or round the elands, and then either spoke them or push them towards the rest of the pride, and that's when the drama will just unfold. So that one makes a slight move, and I'll tell you, all this time they're communicating. Lauren, the calves might take about maybe 3 months, or say two months before they start eating meat. But when hunting proper starts, is anything from about 8 months. 8 months, they'll start hunting small little animals like, rabbits, scrub hares, small baby impalas, small baby or fawns of other antelopes. 8 months towards a year, they're always able to hunt. But it takes quite some time for them to have a proper hunting on their own or to become independent. We got other vehicles approaching from the other side in the opposite direction. Hopefully they're not going to spoil this hunt. But of course there are other tourists who would be delighted to see a kill. Minamu lions will separate when the prize become very big and when the resources reduce. That's when Minamu you'll get the lions separating, and that way it increases the chances of getting food. Minamu, I'm sure you've been watching, and we have been having lots of wildebeests and zebras during the migration, and most lions have remained together. All the prides we know in the Mara Triangle, including what you have now, the Ololo pride, the Owino pride, the sausages, they have all stuck together because there have been plenty of food and lots of choices for them. But once all these, wildebeest will be gone, the zebras, then the choice of food will be limited, and at that point you'll see the lions, the eland there runs and just saw the lion, and I think the timing was not very good. The zebra is not moving. I'm sure they must have spotted the lion. The planning was not very good. They said youngsters, and there goes a young male lion trying to chase, and I think just more of a playful mode, not actually giving a good chase. And I think the eland must have spotted these lions here, and it gave away the hunt, and it's all aborted now. Zebra is not moving. Look at the lion, how close he is. Yes, says that young male is very cheeky. He has been hiding, and I think he did not plan very well. And there he goes again, and the zebras are now off, and the elands, and they're like, wow, this is death so close here. That's exactly how things unfold here in the bush, in the African wilderness, and it did not work out very well. And hopefully they'll have another day to hunt. The hippo survived, the elands have survived, and the zebra has also survived. They have to plan better, and I'm not surprised the lion's hunting is sometimes only 30% successful, and this is another failure. They didn't perform very well. That was a bit dismal for me, and I think they need to plan better if they need to get themselves some nice breakfast. A zebra would have been too small of a prey to get for 16 lions. An eland would make more sense to me. Well, another day. So what we'll do now, we'll try and go a little closer and find out why that male failed. And he's still chasing, or he's still walking together or close to those zebras and the elands. Let's just move a little bit closer and find out what you might see. Okay, Bungay, good to go? Haha, this has been very exciting morning. They tried to get a hippo down, they didn't win, and now they tried an eland. They have also failed. And most of the youngsters here in the Ololo Pride are males. We got these two here right by the roadside, one still laying down and one moving. Minamu, who takes the lead, I would say, for a very serious hunt, because I think these guys have been jokers to me. It's always the female. In general, we'll always have one female as the pathfinder, and we'll always give the right instructions, the right moves, what angles to cut into, who goes in front, and who does what. So Minamu, I would think the oldest female, or one of the fully grown mature females, will always take the lead. They've been there for many years. They've been doing lots of hunts. So the females, in general, will take the lead. if maybe they decide to bring down a big prey, like a buffalo, and males tend to be around, the buffaloes play a very, the big lions play a very big role, the males, because of their muscles. So move forward a little bit and give some friends of mine some route to come forward and maybe leapfrog and for them to enjoy this view. So turn a little bit to the right here, and you got about 5, 6 of them there. How is that, Bungay? And I'll show you the one that I think did not perform very well in getting the hunt. Not successful. I'm not surprised. Many times they have failed on their hunt. And for those who have never joined us before, this is the Olololo Pride of Lions. When together they're always 16, but we've got 10 of them now, and all youngsters. The adults maybe are allowing the youngsters to train themselves before the males are shown the door. Lauren, it depends on what they hunt, and for such a big pride I would say they would hunt every 3 days. Every 3 days, and again depending on what they bring down. If for example today they bring a zebra down, maybe 48 hours from today they might want to bring another prey down. But if they bring a buffalo down or an eland like that, which is a huge or a big prey, they might go for 3 days before they make another hunt. So they may have to sit and wait and replan again and make better ideas. Prakidam, what should happen is, once they bring the prey down, for example, a buffalo, we have always known if there are no males around, the females may allow the youngsters to, eat fast. But as soon as the males pick the kill, they will come in and they'll push everybody out. And when you see them eating, there's a lot of pushing and shoving, and it depends on how much you can eat. So it's the fast you can eat, and grab as much flesh as you can. They don't portion it, is how much you can eat and how quickly you can grab the meat. Are you going to make new plans, or is it time to have a toilet break? So all of them, I would say, they're all youngsters, and I don't think they have gotten the good experience. Chihuahua, you'd want to know, or you'd like to know the largest animals or prey the lions can bring down. I would say a buffalo or a giraffe. In terms of size, a buffalo or a giraffe. A giraffe is always not of a very big fight per se, but buffaloes, when you see lions bringing down a buffalo, in general the buffaloes in this area of the Mara Triangle, I would say it's always a war. It's not always a walkover. They fight to bring a buffalo down. But Chihuahua, look at a giraffe. Of course, giraffes, before they come down or they bring them down, they'll always kick, and they got very powerful kicks. But the moment they bring down for a giraffe, it's very difficult to bring it up, because a giraffe's center of gravity is very high, and once it's down, it's down. There's one lion's coming so close to me here. I don't know what you want, and sorry about my head. Good morning, sir. What are you up to? You missed the eland. Don't think of me, eh? Thank you very much. And you can tell he's a youngster. You can see the testicles. That's very cheeky of that monkey. Of that lion. I almost said cheeky like a monkey, but cheeky like a lion this morning. And these have been exciting this morning. These lions bring down a hippo and then now an eland. And let's find out what James is investigating on his walk.
We've got some alarm-calling squirrels, and we also have, of course, this very barren dam. I'd like to call it a waterhole, but calling it a waterhole would be to give it a compliment it does not deserve. But, of course, there's no fault of the dam itself. It is the fault of the lack of rain. I'm now at the muddy bit, and it is not a picture of inspiration, I must tell you. If I was a thirsty travelling animal and I came across this lot, I wouldn't think to myself, oh goody, I found something to drink. There's just a bit of mud left, that's all. I'm astounded that it's got this dry before we've had some rain. So I don't give this much more than 2 weeks before there's nothing left here at all. And then we will be only down to the Gallego pan and the pan in front of the dam can for water. The rest will be gone. Yeah, Dory, basically it is a mud wallow, that's all it is. Animals will drink from this. Buffalo will drink from it. You will find the cats especially, and hyenas who have very iron constitutions will drink from this as well, but you won't find elephants drinking from this. Tanya, it smells like a sort of very impressive collection of herbivore dung. So it smells a little bit muddy, but there's definitely a hint of elephant, a hint of buffalo, a hint of rhino, and just a hint of kind of drought about it. And there are lots of flies. Senzo's coming down to join me now. Many flies all over here. All probably drinking and waiting for an animal to come past. Now, as soon as I move, it's quite interesting. They fly around, and then as soon as I stop, they go still. Isn't that amazing? None of them coming anywhere near me, all of them just sitting on the mud. So they're obviously feeding, possibly on algae, I don't know. But really this is a fairly disgusting, feil skuimende butt, as they say. Which means sort of a dirty, slimy bath. And that comes from, I remember, I think I've told you the story before. Well, you've probably heard most of my stories by now. But we had to do an Afrikaans set work book when I was in my last year of high school called Raka die Aapmens, which means Raka, the ape man. And Raka die Aapmens was supposedly an epic poem. Raka die Aapmens lived in die feil skuimende bad, and this was the kind of place that Raka die Aapmens used to live. And his great nemesis was Quirky. Quirky used to go and wash himself in the clean, cool waters. Unfortunately, Raka die Aapmens killed Quirky and took over his village and did all sorts of horrible things to the people of Quirky's village. Quirky was unfortunately left to rot and was eaten by vultures. Let's go away from this feil skuimende butt with memories of Raka die Aapmens. Let's head back to Sydney and find out if he has something more cheerful to tell you.
I am still on a hunt for the hyena cubs here, just to see where these hyena cubs are hidden. And I cannot find evidence, but I'm going to try my last luck just here by the old hyena den. So that is where I'm hoping we might be lucky. So I saw one hyena, but the hyena I saw, and Minamu, the hyenas, they normally go back to the dens that they have used before. So they check the safety of the little ones. They look for the dens which are very deep and which are by the big termite mounds. So that is where they are staying. So they don't really have a very strong criteria to check, because sometimes they can even hide them under the ground. Where there are no big termite mounds, they can just use an artifact hole on the ground. Patrick, I am not sure in terms of the number of artifacts here in Juma. I'm gonna have to find out about the statistics of the artifacts. So, but that is something we don't normally see at night. It's one of those rare animals. So now I have just arrived by one of the old hyena den, and also here I am not seeing anything at the moment. So there is no sign of hyenas here. So they have used this den before, and the entrance is just here. So they've got two entrances here. They've got that entrance here. So they've got that entrance there, and there's an entrance on the other side. So I'm sure when there are two entrances, the other one serves as an entrance while the other one serves as an escape route. So I'm going to go back to Osana now, as there is no luck with these hyenas. I'm still going to carry on maybe during the afternoon and see if we can find this hyena den. So now let's go back to David with his lions.
Well, Sydney, you better go look for Hosanna, my favorite leopard in Juma. And my lions, as I said earlier, they did not perform very well. And for those who have never joined us before, this is the Ololo Pride of Lions. 16 in number when all together, but I got 10 youngsters and most of them are males. And initially they tried to bring down a hippo, just by a little river or stream, and there was one hippo inside. Pushed it out. They tried to do a little chase, and then they gave up. And then they tried their luck elsewhere, and they tried to bring an eland down, and their planning was not very good. Excuse me. And I'm sure now they're thinking, what next? Because with such a big pride of lions, they'll need to hunt every few days. Polar we have seen once in a while when they split. For example, 16 is a big number for me, but I'm not surprised to see them together. But occasionally they might, I don't know what that one spotted, they will split in smaller groups and they have breakaways, but after a couple of months then they all regroup together. Now with the migration going, what I see in the next 1 or 2 months, they'll go in different directions, maybe split into 2 groups of maybe 8 and 8, or maybe 6 and 10, depending on what the females will do. Or like the one you see walking there, Paula, that's a male. 2.5 years is a good time to be independent, and they might be shown the door. But afterwards, I've always seen them regrouping after a couple of months. Not sure what he saw, because he's walking with some intent and focusing and looking in a particular direction. Unless it's a warthog, there's nothing personally I can see there. Or a bird of some sort. I mean, lions have been known to hunt guinea fowls or francolins. James Richard, always a pleasure to hear your name. And I would say the most exciting hunt I've seen, and I think this would happen to many guides, is buffaloes being brought down by lions. And that was like, what, maybe 4 years ago? But why it was interesting, it was 1 male and 2 females. And to bring it down, it took about half an hour. Half an hour of fighting and the buffalo taking off, and the female chasing. The females are not strong as the males, and the male would hold on the mouth and try and bite it and suffocate it. But this buffalo was so strong, it could toss the male up and then flee itself and run again. But after half an hour, I guess because of the bleeding, it got traumatized and it could not move. So that to me was quite dramatic, to see two lionesses and one male lion braying. And I think that a fully grown male, a bit old, it was quite a fight. But finally the lions won. I don't know, on documentaries, James Richard, what you think could have been your exciting hunt? Now these two, we think they contributed in spoiling the hunt. And there's one more that I can't see, but these two did not plan very well, because what I thought they would do, one of them would have gone around the elands and then try and scare them from behind. And what would happen, they would all run, or one eland would run to the waiting lions, and that is always what they normally do. And the trauma of seeing like 6, 7, 10 lions in front of you, you first maybe stop and like wonder what do you do, and then they would have jumped on the eland. But that's not exactly what they did here. I could be wrong, but I think all these youngsters are male, and there are 10 of them. Earlier I saw 2 females from a side, and I think they're just staying back and telling the boys it's time to start going on your own, start hunting, because before soon your fathers will get you out of the pride. You'll go join other males and have, different territories. And too bad day for the lions, maybe later in the afternoon. But let's go back to South Africa and find out what James is up to.
Good morning. Hello people, my name is Oli. I'm about to tell you about this plant, which is called a baboon's tail. It's called a baboon's tail because you can see the way it's growing. It's like a baboon's tail. The medicinal use of this plant is it helps with asthma. What you can do is to harvest the plant, not the whole plant. You take the upper part, you can dry it. After drying it, you burn it and then you inhale the smoke. It helps you with your what is it called? It helps you with the bleeding nose. It stops bleeding, and then the roots of this tree, you harvest them, you dry them, and then they also help with reducing the level of your asthma. I can say it heals asthma. It doesn't cure asthma, but the smokes cure asthma. I'll leave this plant. Let's leave this plant and see what else we can find. It started to be windy now. It was I didn't get the answer right, but I think KP needs to know, are they... Yes, KP, it does get dry, more especially between dry season. But in wet season, this plant changes to this beautiful plant you'll ever seen. It produces purplish flowers, and it grows like this big. I show you only one plant, but there are more plants you can see around. So these plants are scattered all over the place. As you can see now, this block here, it's going to be colorful during wet season. I can hear the cuckoos. I've heard that they are black cuckoos because they've heard them calling. I heard the Jacobin cuckoo, and I also saw this morning a Levian cuckoo, yes. And I'm looking forward to see the Dedra cuckoo. I only heard its call, but I'm looking forward to see it. I really want to take a picture of a Dedra cuckoo. It's one of my favorite birds, which is green with white spots. While I'm moving forward and looking for something interesting, let's go to David in the Masai Mara with the lions.
Well done, Zoli and Oli, and good to see you out there in the bush tracking. Now, I'm not sure to say a third time lucky. I don't want to say that as yet, because what you see there is a young male lion, and to the left is a pig. There's a warthog there, and he has gone so close to that pig, and luckily, just like the eland, the warthog still have not spotted this lion. Well, most cats tend to blend in very well in the bush, and we'll let you know, and we'll see if we might get another exciting moment like what we had before with the hippo and with the eland. It's quite a distance, and all the other lions are just watching from where they are. You can see those two there, but what would happen, one of them would just walk like that one very quietly and maybe go around on the other side and come running towards the warthog, and then the warthog will come running towards the rest of the pride, and that will be guaranteed of breakfast this morning. I don't know how long it will take for them to devour this one wildebeest, pig, if they get down the warthog. It's just too small for 10 lions. So this is the one that's so close to her. And are there two there? I think there are two. Bungen, do you think there are two warthogs? And they could be looking, maybe smelling something and not actually seeing, because if by now they have known they are warthogs, they are lions that will take over. There are two of them. Maybe a male and a female. I'm just guessing. And up to now, they have no idea how close these lions are. There's always a lot of waiting, a lot of patience. Patience is always very key to the lions when hours or when minutes seem to be like hours, and wondering when these warthogs will come pretty close to them, or to this particular one here. Cold breeze, I would agree with you. Your question is, can the warthogs not smell a lion? I would have thought that that should have been the case. But warthogs, to me, I don't think they got a very strong sense of smell. That one can say for a fact, and not even the sight. If these were antelopes, for example, impalas, or say elands like we saw earlier, or tommies or toppies or hartebeest, I guess they would have easily have smelled, unless maybe cold breeze, the wind is from the warthogs to the lion. If that's the case, chances are they will not smell it. All animals out here have good, senses of smell, but we'll keep waiting and see what might happen. But in the meantime, Sydney might have found a very small lamb.
I've got two impala newborns here, and they are just together with their mothers. They are not twins. There's two mothers here. It's just that one of the mothers is hiding on the other side. So look at that. They are so cute. Oh, this one still have got the umbilical cord there. The one we are seeing now, you must check. The umbilical cord is still hanging. So these are very newborns. You can see the one on the left. It's just that now I can't see. Yeah, this umbilical cord is still there hanging. You will see the stick there. There's the umbilical cord. So these babies are very much new. So So you can see that the adults are trying to sniff them. So every time when they're born, they try and sniff them so that they can recognize each other from the smell. So the impalas are cannibalists. So they do something which is called a self-cannibalism. It's also called an auto-cannibalism. Here is where they give birth and eat their own placenta. So eating their own placenta is a form of behavior which falls under cannibalism. So not only animals, predators does cannibalism. Also the herbivores, grazers and browsers, some of them are also cannibalists. So now I'm just going to carry on back to Osana and see what we can find. So these animals, reason for them to eat the placentas, it's a behavior which is called a placentophagy. Here they want to get a lot of hormones, and they want those hormones in order to kickstart things such as milk production for the little one, because it helps. It has got quite a lot of the oxytocin hormone, which is responsible for the milk production. So when they are eating that, it helps them in order to activate those kind of hormones to give out the milk. So also relieves the birth stress. When they're eating placenta, helps them to relieve the birth stress and also minimize the bleeding of blood. Christy, that was indeed a beautiful sighting. Those little ones are nice and small, and they are so beautiful. Maybe they were born last night. They are looking very small. And where we are, there was only one little one I saw yesterday here, roaming around for some time. So those two must be for maybe early this morning or yesterday, if not last night. But the other one still has got a very long umbilical cord, showing that it's still very, very new. Lauren, eating the placenta helps to keep the predators away, because the jackals, when the impalas are giving birth, they eat placenta. Is when they are attracted to come. So the placenta helps them to do that, and also to clean the little ones. You will see after birth, the adults do like this. They lick their little ones. If they don't lick their little ones, they don't become active on a lot of things. They must be able to lick the anal region. They must lick the urinary organ. If they don't do that, they don't get activated to work those kind of organs. So the mother has got a responsibility in order to lick the hairs as well, in order to assist blood circulation and to give the little one vitamin D, which is from licking. So I heard there was quite a lot of calls here by the Vuyotela pen. Maybe Osana has been drinking here now. So we are going back to the kill now and see what is there. So these hyenas are not coming to that side where Osana is. Maybe it's because of their migration. The baby impalas, they are so very much beautiful indeed. There's a track, yes, not a fresh track, it's an old track for a single big lion. Also going to the Vuyotela pen. So now let's go back to David and see how the hunting is going.
Well, those lions again have disappointed me. and for the third time, they have lost another hunt. They started with a hippopotamus, which they did not do very well, then an eland, and their planning was not very good, and now this time they're almost getting a warthog, but also the warthog has taken off and gone. Small little bird here. Let me see if Bungay can get it. 1 minute, Bungay. You're gonna move this way. You see that little guy there, Bungay? Are you able to get that guy for me? Mohammed, you want to know whether I experience nightmares once I witness a hunt or lose a hunt? Thank you, Bungay. I mean, it depends on what happens at night or during the day. And you think of that is a yellow-throated longclaw. And Mohammed, all the hunts we see as a human being, we see, almost death. You see almost these animals or these predators bringing down, other prey. You see all the blood. You see how they strangle them, how they kind of kill the necks. It's not the best thing to see on daily basis. But Mohammed, when you think that this is the way nature is and this is how things should be, you tend to relax and okay. But it's not surprising there's one night you dream that either you, Mohammed, you're getting hunted yourself. And most of my dreams, I would say, I have always felt getting hunted, but not me hunting. And hopefully the day I'll get a dream of me hunting, I'll let you know. But more often than not, I'll wake up in the night and I'll look. Lions were just next to my tent, which is not the best thing to do, because after that, you don't go back to bed again. All right, hopefully, and go look for something else. And I'm thinking today to go to the marsh area. The marsh area is an area that have lots of water and it doesn't dry all around the year, and there's always a lot of game or a lot of activity happening in that area, be they elephants browsing or eating the grass and other plains game. And also we see lots of birds. Cool breeze. I mean, to me, cool breeze, I would say, the lions tend to do better when they hunt in the darkness than during the day. The only reason for that, they 10 times when our lions are successful.
You can see now I am son who is just at the moment. I can see, oh, he's now having a bone. Now Sana wants to have a bone. Look at that. So this is the last piece of his carcass. So when he's licking the bone like that, he can be able to take off the hairs, because that is a leg. I don't think it's going to be an easy exercise for him to eat this. So these animals, when they're eating these kind of bones, especially the very strong bones from the legs, some small pieces, they get stuck by their intestines, and they've got to get rid of those bones. So now let's quickly go back to David, who's got a beautiful sable.
Well, sorry, you lost me there. I had some technical issues, but I think it was for a good reason. I took a different road once I disappeared from the screen and found this very exciting cat that we rarely see. And this is a Savo cat. Long time ago, when I was a small little boy, I used to call Savo cat small baby cheetahs. Hello there. Very shy, very secretive cats. You rarely see them during the day. If you're lucky, you see them. They'll always come out at night, hunting rodents. and the final controls think, yes, I would have stuck to baby cheetahs and, get away with it. But there's a little bird on the right there. I don't know what that bird is trying to do with the savo cat, because they have been known to eat birds. Savo cats and caracos will always hunt birds in the grass. Of course, they'll also eat other reptiles like skinks or lizards. But to see it in the middle or like outside is when I used to call savo cats baby cheetahs, and I told him, no, it's not a baby cheetah, it's a savo cat. He's just laughing. And one thing that is unique about the savo cats, they got little larger ears, a little bit unproportional to their body size, and he's having the best of his time in life. Not sure he's cleaning or preening himself on the farm, scratching. Where are your friends? Oh, how come you're alone, eh? And flicking of a tail like that for many cats is always an indicator. I want to just pull forward a little bit. See whether things will get a little better. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what's happening this morning. Could have been good, but, happens sometimes. And look at that now. There she is. And I was talking about her large ears compared to other cats. And the way she is behaving to me, it tells me she is full of joy. Either scratching her face. Are you washing your face? That's how you clean your face. And when you see them flicking the tails like that, too many cats is always showing everything is running well. Pretty busy, eh? Trying to maintain her fur, face, and I think I'd call her right-handed. The way the front right leg is what's being kept busy. There's small little birds in the background. They're just going chickie, chickie, chickie. And I'm sure they know if they're not careful, this savo cat might get one of them. And what exciting. My friend Steve the other day saw some savo cats with some little cubs, which was quite exciting. Good morning. Why don't you walk in the grass and get yourself some breakfast? She must be a very clean cat. Just maintaining her fur, making sure all looks good, ready for the day. If there's any or to bite it, or you're trying to massage your legs, maybe, just to fine-tune the muscles. How cute, eh? And always very skittish cat, and for her just to stay there with us, and we are what, about 10 meters, 15 meters away? It's pretty special. Bungay has a wonderful camera and he does a pretty good job. She looks so close to us. I love snack, I would say not really, because the savo cats are in general belonging to the cat family, and these are the smallest cats that we got in Africa. And this is fully grown. So when you look at her, this is fully grown and she's an adult. Alright, time to turn around and hopefully no car will come around. You want to toss and flip over? Yes. What are you thinking there? I haven't seen this for a long time. Commonly you're asking if they're solitary, and I would say yes. In general, you always see one. Should you see two, chances are it should be a male and a female. Or should you see 3 or 4, it will definitely be a mother and her 3 cubs, just like what Steve saw the other day. Most cats in general are solitary in Africa, apart from, say, lions. But like what we saw, which are very social, leopards are solitary, cheetahs are, savo cats are, caracals are. Well, time to rise and shine. And look at her long legs. You don't seem to be limping. I think just because walking in the grass or makes you look a bit limpy, but that's fine. There may be so many pebbles and stones. Do you want to have a wee there or mark your territory? Hello. One of the advantages they got, the savo cats, are their long legs, which helps them to leap in the grass. Maureen, you're asking if they get fleas, and I would say yes. Most cats or most animals that will have such big or long fur, they'll always get fleas. And maybe that's what he has been trying to get out of her body. Maybe trying to look for something to eat. Could be a skink, could be a lizard. An insect they get for themselves, they catch. Sarah, yes, our savo cat is like a model. We had lion cubs earlier modeling in a tree, and now we've got a savo cat that's modeling for us. Sean, you're asking, are they slim or is she hungry? To me, I think she's a bit mature. In general, that's the body. They're very streamlined like the cheetahs, so that's nothing out of the ordinary. And I think she just looks fine. In general, they are slim. She is just fine. And from her walking pace and gait, it tells me she's in good shape. And they'll always walk in the grass, look for any bird jumping, or look for any chicks or eggs of birds. That's what they feed on. And they've been known to catch birds also in flight, and then just subdue them with your feet and eat them. There was several cats tends to disappear in that bush. She might be looking for something to eat. But in the meantime, we'll go back to South Africa, and Pat might tell us something about trucking.
Beeping. Hello everybody and welcome. My name is Pat, and today I'm going to be teaching you a little about this giant structure I'm sitting on right now, the termite mound, which houses, you guessed it, termites. So I've got a stick with me, and let's find a nice patch of soil over here. We'll get a bit of a diagram happening. So you'll have to bear with me. So here we have the mound, which Yes, sorry about that, everybody. It appears the gremlins have come back to grasp their nasty little claws on our tech equipment. Now, I was in the middle of an amazing diagram for termite mounds. We have moved off from that substantial termite mound that I was on, but we still have this little one right here. But more importantly, let's get back to the diagram. So, mound sort of structure. Now, when we left off, we had the central chimney, the air channels, and it was just moving into the chambers. First chamber, we have incubation chambers for the young. Draw little eggs in there. And then we also have the brood chamber, which is where the king and the queen will produce the young, sometimes up to 3,000 eggs per day for the female or the big queen. And then, most importantly, well, very importantly, we have the fungus chamber. Now, what's very interesting about this chamber is that it actually is a kind of farming system where the termites will grow the fungus themselves. Now, conditions for fungus, they need a warm, damp, dark environment. Obviously, being underground, the dark is sorted, but that's why they will go down towards the water table where it's nice and damp. Now, this also is why you'll see trees associated with termite mounds. This landscape is pretty sandy. It's not great for trees to root in, but if they root near a termite mound, then they will have more chance of reaching the water table, which is a great source of water for them. Yes, everybody, termites are interesting. I honestly didn't think that much myself coming into this, but after studying them and learning about them, there's quite a lot to know. Now, the different parts of the termite mound will be associated with different termites as well. So the three kind of main groups are the reproducers, the workers, and the soldiers. Now, the soldiers are more like security guards rather than actual soldiers. They'll sit at any sort of entrance to the termite mound, and what they will do is they have big, long mandibles and a substance, a sticky substance that they secrete from their head, so they will be able to guard the chambers. Then after this, we have the workers. Now, the workers are the lifeblood of a termite mound. They're blind, they don't have wings, they're a lot different than the other ones. They don't have the big mandibles like the soldiers. What they will do is feed the soldiers, because the soldiers can't, their mandibles are too big. They can't feed themselves. They will also feed the king and the queen, as well as tend to their young and help them bring up as many young as possible. And then that leads us to the reproducers, who will reproduce. We have the primary pair, which is the big queen and the king, and then the secondary breeders as well, which don't have as many features and will not produce as much young. They're kind of on standby for if anything happens to the king and queen. Tanya, well, that depends on what termite it is. So the king and the queen, well, the queen, I've heard, can live up to 50. I've heard even 60 years old, which is a long time for an insect. Now, the workers are not so lucky. They'll probably only live 1 to 2 years at best. So there's a lot of variability, all depending on the role. You can be royalty or you can be a worker, kind of like us humans. Well, enough about termites. Sydney's got something a little bigger. Let's go check it out.
You can see I'm still here with Hosanna, who is very much relaxed, and I'm sure very soon Hosanna will be also eating the termites. These kind of cats, they eat termites in the form of flying ants. The swarms or the reproductives, those ones that normally leave the termite mounds for reproduction purposes, is the one that suddenly got eaten, some of them, by this kind of big cats, including small cats and other kind of predators. The monkeys, they are vocal against the presence of Hosanna at the moment. You can hear them on the background. So this monkey, when he started giving these alarm calls, the impalas joined him, squirrels joined him, and francolins joined him. So these animals, they know that these animals who got an opportunity to go up for high elevation can be able to assist them, because they all joined together. Others were not even seeing Hosanna. I could see the distance and the bush, the cover between Hosanna and this other species, that they are just vocalizing, not seeing him, because they are depending on these monkeys who are making noise high up by the trees. Anisha is looking more and more like a Tingana. This is very healthy, and this cat is growing very quickly. I've been saying this a lot. When I'm looking at the body and the head, I can see that Hosanna is growing very fast. Let's hope he's not growing fast in order to get chased away from the territory and go somewhere else. So the sun is getting strong now, that's why it's moving, and the monkey is now also making it worse. So now let me send you back to the Masai Mara, where David is having the lilac-breasted roller.
Yes, we had a bird, and she is still here. She's not anywhere. Where Bunge is, there she goes, flying. She is flying away, and I'm sure she might perch at one point. And that is the lilac-breasted roller. Very good job, Bunge. Excellent. Thank you for perching up again there. Early in the morning, we had the secretary bird, and that was, I think, the first bird we saw. And I spoke of the lilac-breasted roller. Sorry, there's a car just passing there, and I'm sure they don't have as good eyes like Bungei, who spotted this roller. They just passed that beautiful roller, and I said, this is my favorite bird in the whole world. We'll always say they do not hook like the bee eaters. They always spot the prey and then fly down. Where she was initially, she flew down, and I'm sure she caught herself something where she landed and brings it up. And if it's a beetle, you'll always see them crushing it and then trying to swallow it, and crushing the skeleton and make sure it doesn't get stuck in their throat as they swallow. This is the national bird of Kenya, and also it also happens to be the national bird of Botswana. And to me, it's the most celebrated bird in the whole world. Let me just move forward a little bit, and maybe we'll bring it a little closer to Bungei. Bungei, may I move forward a little bit? And its biggest beauty is in flight. When you see her flying out, she got about, I would say, 6 different colors. Bungei, let me know when to stop. Keep going or stop there? Bungei? There, okay. Let's see whether you can see more colors. And I call the lilac breasted because if you look on her breast, the lilac color, she's flying down. She's catching herself something. That's what they normally do. She's grabbing something and either fly back where she was. She's playing games with it. Look at the beautiful colors there, eh? The blue, the lilac, the white, the green, the black. Very good job, Bungei. She's going to change her location, maybe land somewhere else. RSS, very good comment, beautiful bird. And I'll tell you, RSS, to me, this is the most photographed bird in Africa. It's the most celebrated bird to Africa. I do not know what Pat, Oli, Sydney, James or Steve would think, but I would say it's the most celebrated bird in the whole of Africa because of her colors. And I'm trying to remember any other bird of that size that would have as many colors. I don't see any. Maybe some of the bee eaters or some of the sunbirds, but I think for this size she has the most beautiful colors you'd think of and could be the most photographed bird in the whole of Africa. Well, quite a distance from where we are, and Karen, I'm very happy you saw her in flight, and if you're lucky maybe sometimes to see her again on flight, that would be very good. It's always quite unusual to see her in flight, but we have been able to see her doing exactly that, and you saw all those beautiful colors. That was super fantastic. So Karen, if we see her again, don't go far, don't go away. We might give you a chance to see it fly, and especially if you see a male and a female together and you see them in flight. We call them rollers because they have been known to mate while in the air rolling, and that's why we call them rollers. There's a car giving me a bit of dust in front. Just gonna drive slowly and clear his dust. Alright, we got some different antelopes here to the right, Bungay. And we haven't seen toppies today. Could be a good idea to show the viewers some toppies to the right. I'll allow you to revise your camera. And we see these very interesting antelopes that will always have 2, 3 different colors on their bodies. And that's what you call toppy. Very similar to the sesames in South Africa. Always looking for the short grass, which is pretty nutritious, and the green grass. Apparently anything dry and bulky toppies will not bother eating. See from where she's eating, it's very close to a termite mound, and you see the grass around that termite mound is quite green. Termites do a pretty good job under there, and because of all the molds they grow or the gardens they have in the mound, the area they are in have like fertilizer, and the grass tend to grow nicely. And it's time to have a toilet break, and very quickly she's done. See the different colors on the legs, unlike the other part of the body. Finish doing a poop break and continue eating right away, which is always very good because they keep replenishing the ground from what they eat. It's like natural fertilizer, and when the rains come or when they walk over their own poo, they break it down, and then the rains will make the whole ecosystem work very well. The grass grows very nicely. And some of the largest prey leopards have brought down are like a toppy, and let's find out what Hosanna could be up to.
So Hosanna is now on the move after being irritated by the monkeys. So you can see now that he is on his way to somewhere. So maybe he's just moving in order to go have a drink by the Vuyotela Pan. It's looking big this morning. So you can see that now he is crossing, going much more towards the Mvubudem area. The stomach is not that very big. Chances for him to take another chance if there is any opportunity, they are very much high. So you can see he's looking at something at the moment. The sun is hot, but he's not discouraged. So I'm just going to now move and see if we can see him much better from the front. I am sure he's going towards the Viotella Pen area. But he doesn't want to go there via the drainage line. Maybe he's got some intentions. I'm just gonna have to wait and see what his intentions are. So this is beautiful. So instead of moving towards the direction of going to the Viotella Pen, he is now crossing over to much more towards the block after the Viotella Pen. The dewlap on most of the animals, it serves a purpose when it comes to the regulation of the heat. Some of the animals, they use the dewlap in order to regulate the heat. Dewlaps that you see on animals such as the eland. So they are there in order to regulate the heat when it's too hot. So you can see that he has just been moving to this side in order to have some shade. But his focus is much more towards the Viotella Pen. He did not drink anything this morning. The monkeys started irritating him when he was heading towards the Galago Pen. So now I'm sure he's thinking about to go and have a drink by the Viotella Pen. The most rarest cat I have seen, it was the Sable. So the Sable is the cat that I have seen some years ago, and it's something that I don't see very often. So they are very lucky by the Masai Mara at the moment because they are seeing the Sables every now and then. So you can see that he is trying to listen to what is happening here and checking every time. Maybe he's picking up some of the information from the air. So it's good that he got something to eat. He battled this time in order to get something to eat. It took him quite a lot of days. So you can see he does not have scratches by the face. He's so gorgeous and he doesn't have scratches yet by the face, but soon as he starts engaging himself on too many fights, you will notice some of the scars on his body. So now let's get back to David, who's got the baby elephant.
Well, Hosanna getting a bit sleepy. It's very characteristic of leopards or most cats just to snooze. But we've got animals that rarely snooze. Elephants, it's very difficult to see them snoozing, and this baby is trying to catch up with mama. Don't lag very behind, because they know the dangers of staying on their own. It could be lions, like the older leopard of lions he had before. They have been known to go for baby elephants, baby rhinos. And she's now trying to go in front of the mother. And this is the African elephant, what you would call also the savanna elephant. Very majestic as they walk, mother and a baby. And the mothers will always want to have the babies in front where they can see them. Unlike the black rhinos, which will have the babies either on the side or at the back. White rhinos will want the babies in front of them. This is exactly what this African elephant is doing, as we've got some toppies in the background. Very big, huge, heavy animals, but if I would be out of the can staying very close to that elephant walking there, you'd barely just hear anything. They got like padded feet, and they always walk very quietly and softly on the ground. As much as the huge, humongous mammals, the largest mammals we have on land. Lisa, great comment. That is a very cute sighting to see a mother and a baby. And as you know, Lisa, you see there, the baby is learning how to be feeding, or herself in future, and flapping the ears a little bit. Not sure that's being playful or is trying to cool off. See them walking together. How cute is that, Lisa? Eh? Elephants always cool their body temperatures using flapping their ears a lot. And you see the mother there, her ears are quite open, and that allows a lot of air just to blow on the surface of the ears, and that helps to maintain the temperatures. Very intelligent animals. I was talking earlier of my favorite bird, the lilac-breasted roller, and now talking of my favorite animal, I've always said, is the elephant. And number one, an elephant will never bore you. You just saw Hosanna a few minutes ago who decided to go flat. But it's very unusual to see an Ellie just going flat or just even stopping and doing nothing. Little scratch there in the eye, flap a bit, cool off. And what would happen as it warms up, they would slowly be getting in the bushes where they'll be getting lots of shade. And the bushes you see there, we call them orange-leafed croton, which make very good homes or bedding for lions, because insects do not love these bushes. They tend to like to repel them away. Many times you'll always see lions laying below these bushes, but of very poor nutrition value, and that's why you see the elephant is not even bothered looking at them. Either they're a bit tart, I would say, and maybe that's one of the reasons why they repel insects. I've never seen an elephant eating an orange-leafed croton, apparently, and I'm talking of those bushes in the foreground there. But the other bigger trees there are what we call the magic guava trees, or Euclea divinorum. Elephants love them, just like the amarula trees, or marula trees in South Africa. So that's the bush I expect them now to be heading to, because the trees there will provide them with pretty good shade for the rest of the day, but at the same time, of course, feeding or getting themselves a drink. Alrighty. Frank, you say nature is just beautiful, and it is. We're going to move forward a little bit and see before they completely disappear in that bush, and we'll say again, truly nature is beautiful. And that's why every morning and every afternoon I'll just be here working and never get tired. What you see in the morning is not the same thing you'll see in the afternoon. Now let's have one more look at these elephants before they disappear in the bushes. Is that good, Bungay? Move forward a little bit. We're going to say move forward a little bit. Okay. Here you're asking whether, oops, they have very good hearing, and I would say yes, Ellie's here. Chihuahua, your question is, do elephants have good hearing? Hearing, yes, their hearing sense, it's magic. They hear very well, Chihuahua, and they could be in the bush there. They may not see you, but should you just try and approach them and you break some bushes as you get close to them, they'll pick you very easily, Chihuahua. Very good hearing. And I would say if you compare them to the rhinos could be hearing a lot better than them. I'm trying to break the same bushes that they thought you not eat. Or you're just playing there. Yeah, I think they're just trying to push them around. And let's first go across to Hosanna and find out what Hosanna could be doing.
Hosanna is now enjoying some grooming. You can see that it's time for Hosanna to clean himself at the moment. So he's trying to get rid of all the blood from his latest kill. Otherwise, the blood is going to attract the flies. So it's getting very windy here where I am, where he is. I'm sure he's enjoying the cool temperatures at the moment. So if there are thorns, there's some thorns by these paws, he must have to use his teeth in order to get them out. So this is quite a very beautiful shot, you can see. So now let's quickly cross over to James, who found something interesting.
Now, I don't know if you remember, but a little while back, probably about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, you met my cousin Nigel. My name's Norman the Nyala, and I unfortunately have also shuffled off this mortal coil. But my death was not caused by a predator. Interestingly enough, my death was caused by a lack of nutrition. As you can see, I've got very thin indeed, so thin that my skin and flesh is no longer on my bones. That's not really how I died. Well, it is how I died, sort of. I was unable to move because of a nutritional deficit in my body caused by a gut flora die-off, caused in turn by a ingestion of too much tannin in the drought-stricken vegetation on which I am forced to feed. Then I was eaten, of course, by a number of predators. But interestingly, I don't seem to have been eaten by hyenas. My ribs are still intact, as you can see there, as is my lumbar spine down to my hips. My back legs have been dragged off, as have my front legs, unfortunately, so I can't walk anywhere. Yes, indeed, James, this is a little bit of a zombie apocalypse. Right, so this is quite interesting. Everything that Norman told you there is, I think, absolutely true. I don't think this animal was killed. Well, obviously it was killed by a predator. No, sorry, it wasn't. I don't think it was killed by a predator. It was eaten by a predator. But this, to me, looks like the carcass of an animal that died naturally and then was kind of picked at for a while. And often, as we've seen over the last little while, predators will avoid animals that have died of natural causes or disease or something like that, because of course they also get diseased. And also, if an animal has died of a lack of nutrition, if it's basically starved, even if it doesn't look thin, it's still got meat, it will be very poor nutritional value, much as the buffalo were during the drought when the lions got themselves some white muscle disease. So this is an adult male Nyala, and you can see what I really like about this, and it's so unusual, is that the spinal column is fully intact, and you can count all the vertebrae. The 7 cervical vertebrae should be 1. We've got the axis-axle joint. It's the atlas axis joint, and that's the joint between C1 and C2. That's there and there. And we've got 3 4, 5, 6, and 7 cervical vertebrae. Now, every mammal in the world has 7 cervical or neck vertebrae. Then we move into the thoracic vertebrae, which of course have the ribs attached to them, and this does vary from species to species. In Nyala's case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've forgotten how many humans have. 10, 11, 12, 13 thoracic vertebra, and then the lumbar spine down here. Right, then there's the pelvis. There we go. And you can see the pelvis on a Nyala like this is completely different shape to that on a human being. And interestingly, if you were to look at a quadrupedal, apparently we have 33 vertebra. Really? That's a very odd number of... Oh, vertebra. 33 vertebra. Now, I was talking about ribs. How many ribs do humans have? So this is the pelvis. Now, I was talking about humans, and quite interestingly, the pelvis on the human being doesn't look like this because we are bipedal. We are not quadrupedal. And in fact, if you looked at the vertebra or the pelvis on a non-human primate, so something like a baboon or even a chimpanzee, you'd find it looked much more similar to this than it does to our own. Ours is much wider, and it's tilted around, of course, so that we can stand upright. Alrighty, what do you do? You're looking at the join there of the ball, and that's very interesting, actually. That's the ligament, I think, attaching the femur to the pelvis. That's very cool. It's got a bit stretched. Thank you for pointing that out. So that's the femur there. This is, of course, the tibia. Is that correct? No, it's not correct. That thing's bending the wrong way. No, that is correct. It's flipped around. Yeah, that's correct. Yes, because there's the tibia, and then that would be, of course, the basic. That's the ankle joint there. It's turned over. Now, Carol, you want to know if animals suck on the bone marrow? Absolutely they do. If you look over here, you can see where they have. I am a bit squeamish about touching these things, possibly overcautiously. But if you look over here, you can see sorry about that. You can see there is a very rich piece of bone that probably a leopard or a hyena has bitten and then sucked the fatty bone marrow out of. Now, if you're a human scavenger on the plains, or a hominin scavenger on the plains some 2 million years ago, that's what you would have been going for. You'd have taken a rock to the heavy bones on these animals and then sucked the bone marrow out. So that's Norman. Bad luck, Norm. You got very close to getting through the dry season, but I'm afraid, well, you didn't quite get through it this time. Let's move on. Poor old Norm. I do feel a bit sorry for Norm. I feel sorry for all the animals that don't really make it through their dry season, have to get to this point in their lives. And then as it gets wet, they drop dead from a lack of gut flora. Very sad. I don't know if Brent shared this with you, but the original Nyala that he found dead, which was in the Mulwati River, sort of further down the reserve. The official vet's report was that what had happened to that thing was that it had tripped and then panicked. Tripped, got its legs entangled in a piece of vine, or I mean, there aren't a lot of vines, in a piece of bush lying on the ground. Panicked, and then was unable to release itself, and through its panic had basically had a heart attack. Its lungs had filled with fluid, and that's why there was fluid coming out of the mouth when we found it. So it was pulmonary. The official cause of death was pulmonary edema, which is basically a filling of the lungs with fluid. I think that that's a real stretch myself. because I think there are a lot of Nyala here that fall over things and then stand up again. Maybe it did happen like that, but I think it was probably because it was so severely nutritionally compromised, like many of the Nyala and the tragolaphids generally in this area at this time of the year. So not a good time of the year for Nyala and kudu and the bushbuck. Better now, but up to about 3 weeks ago, really a difficult time of year. Anyway, that's all I have to say about Norman and his friends, and so I'm going to send you up into the Masai Mara, where David is sitting with something hiding in a bush.
Well, Nyalas are antelopes that we do not have in East Africa. When we look at some animals that we have here that are not there, or they are in South Africa, not here, Nyala is one of them. And we now got a black rhino. Black rhino because she is definitely different from a white rhino and not in color. It's because of the shape of the mouth. That's number one. And number two, they got very different feeding habits. The black rhinos will tend to stay in the bushes where they get leaves or twigs or little branches, whereas the white rhino normally will be grazing and feeding on grass. And for that reason also, it's a lot easier to see a white rhino than a black rhino. This was just by sheer luck. We saw some movement and we thought that bush does not look normal. And looking carefully, we saw her flicking her ears. Quite an endangered species. Looking at IUCN, they are on the red list. They've been poached for very many years, but so far so good. The game rangers are doing a wonderful job, and many people, or people who used to buy products of rhinos, have been sensitized and educated. Brent, you say rhinos are quite shy. That's very true. And more so the black rhino, unlike the white rhino. This, as I said, because they tend to feed, or their browsers, I would say, they'll always get their food in the thickets there. And yes, they are a bit shy, Brent, you're very right. But the white rhinos that are grazers will always be out in the grass. It's very interesting. Should you put a white rhino next to this black rhino, you'll be surprised. They might look the same in color. The differences will be, on the mouth. And the black rhinos have like triangular shaped like mouth, while the white rhinos go like square or rectangular shaped mouth. Not sure what she's doing, just standing there doing nothing, but maybe enjoying the shade. Such open areas, you'd once in a while see them walking through, and if you see them walking through, they will not eat. Sorry, the rhinos have what? Chris, thank you very much. And your question is, do rhinos have teeth? And yes, they do, because they'll always tend to chew their food. And that's a very good question, Chris. Do rhinos have teeth? Yes, they do have teeth, and they will need them to chew the leaves, the twigs, and all the branches. They'll be picking. Sometimes they have been known to use their horns to debug some trees and just chew it, depending on what they'll be looking for from the backs of the trees. We have the numbers now coming up very nicely, unlike before. And we would call it the black rhino way back. We had the Europeans coming to Africa, and I'm talking about the Dutch. And they first saw the white rhino, and I was talking about the white rhino having a wide mouth. And I guess in Dutch, wide spells like W-I-T-E, white. And we have always had, not sure about this, when other Europeans came in, they corrupted the white and they put a H between W and I, and they said white rhino. But white, W-I-T-E, in Dutch means wide, because the white rhinos have a wide mouth, and then they thought if that will be a white rhino, then the other one will be a black rhino. And ideally nothing to do with the colors. Slightly bit, if you put them together and you look very kingly, the black rhino is a little bit generally a little dark in color than the white rhino. Could be a good day to say today we have spotted the big five in this morning drive, and I'll just let the rhino keep resting there, and I'm sure she's enjoying the shade of those bushes, and we'll go back to another big five in South Africa.
Osana was just attracted by one of the animals here. We tried to come here very quickly, but we couldn't manage to see who was fascinating Osana, and suddenly he decided to lie down there. But he was too active, and it was showing that he's aiming at an animal which is close by. But what I saw was just a group of mongoose, the dwarf mongoose, running away towards the western side. Maybe it was them fascinating him, or if not them, he might have spotted something. Now that the impalas are bringing the babies, now chances for him to go after those little ones are very much high. He is not very far away from the Viotella pen at the moment, and squirrels already, they are raising an alarm call about his presence. The other big cats, they also got fast heartbeat rate. You must check. That is determined by the weather condition. When it's too hot, you will see them breathing very fast. Also, after a huge responsibility, such as killing an animal and dragging it up into a tree, then the rate goes very high. So you can see it's very much camouflage there where it's not easy to see him. He's not sleeping, he's just lying down there and with the focus at the dam. And there's nothing at the dam at the moment. He's not far from the dam. From here, he can observe the dam nicely. So maybe he's going to go and drink before we finish with the game drive. Around the dam is where we saw those two baby impalas earlier. So those two lambs must have to be very careful. So he might not win at this stage because the squirrels are now talking too much about his presence. When the squirrels become silent, I can promise you if the squirrels lose a sight on him is when he can be able to get there very closer. So impalas will be using these water holes a lot because little ones are still small and they cannot travel long distances. So that's why the chances of him getting one of those lambs are very much high, because they must have to come back here again during the day. They like to drink during the day, impalas, because that is the time they think predators, their activities are restricted. But now Osana is doing the opposite today. Tanya, by looking at the sky at the moment, I can promise you building. I didn't see the forecast, but I can see that the rain is building and is about to come. It might not come during the day, but chances of us getting the rain today, they are very much high. They are even way much higher than yesterday's. So now that the impalas are also starting to give birth, 15th of November, 16th of November is when normally the grass is green. So there is a delay a little bit. We might get very good rains anytime soon this week. So the forecast for the week, the clouds, it seems like they have been expected for the whole week. So this week might be coupled with quite a lot of predatory actions. He doesn't want to move now at the moment. So now let's go back to the bushwalk.
Now what I'm doing is climbing up this thing and holding onto a very, very spindly branch. And I'm not doing that to show you my climbing skills. I'm doing this to show you the amazing strength of this plant. Even this thin branch here will hold my full weight. Yes, it will. Some plants, of course, have defensive mechanisms like thorns and chemicals to help them through the tough times of living in these browser-infested areas. Others, like this plant, are just incredibly strong. And to break off a stalk of this plant is almost impossible. Did you get that? Thanks. It is Albizia harveyi, the common false thorn, and it is superbly designed to deal with the fact that elephants love it, not by being distasteful, expending energy on that, not by expending energy on thorns, which most animals just ignore anyway, but by simply being so tough that it's almost impossible to break the plant entirely. So the elephants come and they gnaw off, they kind of come and they bite off and gnaw off the twigs, and so it never gets much bigger than this over here. But you cannot in fact break the plant unless it's dead. Like this particular branch, which is dead. RSS, you say I need a stunt double. Well, you know, Tom Cruise does his own stunts. I think Jason Statham, my doppelganger, does his own stunts. So I think, you know, given that I'm younger than both of those men, I think I should probably do my own stunts, don't you? Let's continue. We're on our way back now towards the waterhole at the camp. We might be able to see the little baby blacksmith lapwing chicks that I'm not going to get myself emotionally attached to this time. No, don't say his name, Emma. Don't say his name. No, I don't want to know what they've named them. I just want to know where they are. Emma says that you've already started to name these two little chicks. I'm not sure my emotions could take the loss of another two little blacksmith lapwings. Has anybody seen them, Emma? The parents are going crazy at the moment, so I suspect that they're around here. Let's have a look around here quickly. Ex-Oily and Pat and Herbert have already walked through the area. I'm just scanning with my binoculars. Often, of course, the parents won't go anywhere near where the chicks are in order to dissuade potential predators from going near them. I can see the one. Not chick, I can see the one adult. I don't know where the other adult is. You got the little one? No, the adult. You got the adult. Now they're only a few days old, which means they'll be probably still. They won't be moving around yet. And they'll be almost impossible to see. Let's walk very slowly. We could easily be dive bombed by the adults here. I think we only saw them. A lot of you asking when we first saw them. I mean, I haven't seen them yet. I think the dam cam spotted them about 3 days ago. Wasn't much more than that. I don't think. Would that be in a very kind of, I suppose, inconspicuous depression in the ground here? They were at the watty pile by the log. So Jamie says there are a pile of feathers by the log. The log? A log? Which log? Many logs here. Lots. Ah, you think the log right by the pan. You mean where that enormous pile of feathers is? That's really not good news. Come over here, Senzo. There is a vast pile of feathers on the grass here. Well, if this was the blacksmith lapwing, and we're not going to see any of its death because there is an enormous pile of feathers. I don't think any of these feathers, however, belonged to a baby blacksmith lapwing. No, this is something else. This looks like an Egyptian goose that bit it. Did nobody see a bird being devoured on the dam cam? Oh, it was a few days old. No, this is a francolin. I think this is a francolin. Well, it's been, as Brian Joubert used to say, eviscerated over here. I think it was a francolin, but I can't tell. Anyway, it wasn't a baby lapwing. Kalina, Hassan has attempted duck hunting. No, I don't think that's an Egyptian goose. I thought it was initially, but I don't think so now. Not sure. Right, well, we'll just walk past here. The fact that we're not being dive bombed tells me that the baby lapwings are probably not where we are. Alrighty, we'll go back to David, who's had all the luck today. We haven't found one mammal, I don't think.
Now, the pigs that we saw earlier that the Olololo pride of lions were trying to hunt, we have another one here, and you notice she is eating while kneeling down, and you wonder why they do that. And the whole idea for them to do that, of course, it makes it easy for them to reach the grass that they're feeding on. But above all, it gives them some good leverage. Should they want to scoop anything, say like tubers or roots of the grass, it gives them a good angle to do that. Very short neck, sometimes we think this warthog's got. Look at that young piglet behind that one. And I've seen two piglets, whether that's the mother. And I don't know where the other one is. She got two young ones. And there's a little spring there. And definitely they know the grass is pretty green. And how cute is that? This one doesn't have any tusks yet, now that I can see. Excuse me. Rashni, how are you today? And yes, a great sighting of warthogs. I like the first one we saw before, where the older pride of lions wanted to bring them down. Rashni, I'm happy you're enjoying this sighting. And they're always very skittish pigs. Anytime you stop and you switch off the engine, they take off. But Roshni, this time around, or this morning, we are lucky, and they're just cooperating and feeding on that green grass. Because if you look at that particular grass in that area, that patch, it's very green. because there's a spring of water, a natural spring of water there. I don't know where the other piglet is. There were two. Oh yeah, there she comes. Speak of the devil. Yeah, she got two piglets. In general, they'll get 4. And at times when we've seen them getting 5 piglets, one dies because they got 4 mammary glands. And they are very specialized. If one of them picks one mammary gland, they'll always tend to suckle from the same one throughout. So if there are 5, one will miss. And not once I have seen Hosanna going for pigs for a meal.
You can see that Hosanna is now relaxed against another termite mound here, and he's still interested to investigate what is happening here. I saw him just about 2 minutes ago. He was up checking what is happening, but now it's time for him to rest. It means for the rest of the day he might be in the area, but the weather condition might also encourage him to move away from here. So it's difficult to tell as to whether he will be in this area or not during the day. The stomach is not that very full. Yes, he has eaten since yesterday, but now I can see that chances for him to go and take something down again, they are very much high. Maybe after drinking, he might go for some rest. It has been a lovely morning, punctuated with quite a lot of interesting activities, all the way from the Masai Mara in Kenya, as well as the sun by David in the Masai Mara. And thank you very, very much for all your questions and comments. We will be back again this afternoon and carry on from previous looking for Hosanna and try to see if he's going to do some hunting this afternoon.
Well, sorry about the gremlins there. There was a bit of glitches, and once in a while these things will happen, but so far so good. I left my pigs and my pigs walked away, and I'm trying to look for something else before the day ends, and maybe I'll give you a nice view of the Mara from this high point, and we just look at the green marsh to the left there. What do you think of that? If you have a look at that, let me give you a better angle there. Hold on 1 minute. What about that? And watching the green patches of the beautiful Mara. And to all of you, thank you so very much for having tuned in this morning. And remember, we'll be out again this afternoon. From all of us, thank you and see you later tonight. Bye-bye for now.